So as we come back into this space to be with one another, just become more aware of your surroundings and the chairs beneath you, the people who took their time to come be together today. I welcome you all here, and I really appreciate you for being here. We're talking about faith this month, and I wanted to talk about 3 ways we can increase our experience of faith and really learn when our faith needs nurturing. Identify what's happening that we need to give some attention to in order to feel more peace, purpose, and power. So I looked up the definition of faith, and it says that it is complete trust. Complete trust. Not trust when things are going well, but trust no matter what. It's a strong belief in God, it says, or in something, based on spiritual apprehension rather than proof. Now, apprehension has a very common definition, and that makes us kind of think of I'm apprehensive about something, but they defined apprehension as like a comprehension or a belief. So complete trust, strong belief in God or something based on spiritual apprehension rather than proof. That is faith. So how does having faith impact your sense of peace? Well, we've all had life experiences that in hindsight, we've been able to say, now I see how those pieces fit together. But in the moment, they really could have knocked us off of our feet and kind of set us reeling and rocked our world. But when we have a bit of perspective and when we can look back, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes we're blessed with, oh, there was a reason for that. So that's something that we can draw from too, is that we have had life experience of being in the middle of something we didn't like and then gaining perspective when we had a chance to get some distance from it. So I like to think of like a practical way of looking at this. How many of you have ever looked at your face in like a multiple of 5 magnified mirror? Okay, all the women are raising their hand. Okay, so just imagine how when you have 5 times the magnification on your face, every hair you can see, every blemish, so you do that so that you can apply your makeup or attend to something that you really can't do if you're just looking at a normal mirror with your normal vision. But when you flip that over, or when you do look at a regular mirror, those things that you zoomed in on are not noticeable at all. Okay, so I'm just going to be really vulnerable and transparent here. I look in a 5 times magnified mirror because, I'm getting a little things that don't need to be there anymore, and I can't see them, so I need to see what I'm pulling out of my chin. But if I miss a day and I see myself in the normal mirror, I don't notice those, and I know you're not noticing them either. So the practical application of having more peace is to understand that when you are in a greater sense of peace, when you can trust because of life's ups and downs, that perspective brings more peace. That time makes things feel better. You can ask yourself, am I too close to this? Can I give some space to gain a different perspective? Can I back up from this and not look at the 5 times magnified version? Typically, when something is happening and pushing our buttons and we're feeling a sense of upset, it's because we don't have perspective. We don't have an ability to see it in any other way than the way we're reacting to it. So step one, just to see if your sense of faith needs nurturing, is to think about perspective. Can I back up and see this differently? The next question is, how does faith impact your connection to your sense of purpose? So when you feel insulated from the noise, when you are feeling that sense of perspective, when you can actually draw from that more frequently and live from this place of increased perspective, you'll notice that there is a leveling out. You're not as attached to the things that upset you. And as you gain more life experience of, hey, that thing that bugged me, when I got away from it, I could see that it was for a reason, you then begin to have the faith that everything is for a reason. And then you can use your attention in other ways. Instead of thinking about the problem and how do I fix this problem, now this distance and this increased sense of peace kind of quiets the noise. And when the noise is quieted, you can feel that you're being called, that you're being asked to do something, that you're here for a reason. There is a purpose for what you're doing. And sometimes when you have this distance from the noise, you get these little nudges, and you have an opportunity to listen to what that nudge is trying to tell you, and feel a deeper sense that I'm here and I'm willing to be shown how I can step more deeply into my purpose. How can I live into the purpose that I'm being called to do? And so I want to give you another practical example to help you know when you're feeling more in alignment, because it's when we feel in alignment and the noise has decreased that this sense of purpose wells up like a spring. So how many of you have felt a pain somewhere in your body and then been distracted, and your experience of that pain diminished because you were involved with something else? Can you raise your hand? Okay, everybody has, right? But then as soon as you remember, oh yeah, I was in pain, then it comes back and you're like, where did that pain go when I was distracted? When I was a little girl, I was running home and I tripped and fell and I just, scuffed my hands and my knees. And I remember getting up going, okay, I can handle this. It's okay, it just really, really stings, but I can handle this. Okay, I'm just gonna go home, I'm just gonna keep going. And I was feeling peaceful. And then I looked at it. Oh, it all just went out the window then. When we have this focus, energy goes where our attention is. And so my energy could have been, all of our energy could be somewhere else, but when we're giving attention and energy to the parts that don't feel so good, it is only amplified. So there is this sense of coherence when we can bring our heart into alignment with our thinking. I'm really excited, and I'm going to talk in more detail about this book by Dr. Joe Dispenza called Becoming Supernatural. Raise your hand if you've been reading this or have read it or have it. Good. This might be new for some of you, but when I was thinking about this coherence that he is talking about, we have the opportunity to, just like in the meditation, really get a sense of feeling of the space of our heart. And what he goes into great detail to describe is that we are living in our minds, and the thoughts that are in our minds have been thought for thousands of years, way beyond your lifetime, way before you came around. And just like we can tune into a radio station, thoughts are energy, and energy never dies, it just changes form. And so he goes into great scientific detail that our bodies are just projecting into the future what our bodies already know. And so we can live our whole lives kind of unconsciously because our bodies are just going through the motion. Now, if that sounds really weird, I want you to have another practical experience of this, because how many of you, when you drive home the same route every time, say, wait, did I pass that yet or did I not? Because your body is on autopilot. Another example is we find ourselves in the kitchen with the refrigerator door open and say, I didn't even think that I was hungry. Why am I here? So raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about, where your body is on autopilot. And so this is a great chance for us to learn some techniques for really feeling the electromagnetic energy that our heart puts out. In fact, the Heart Math Institute has been studying for quite some time this measurable electromagnetic field that the heart produces, and that the heart responds before a message could be sent to the brain, which is proving that the heart has a brain of its own. The heart is a thinking, sensing, feeling thing. And Dr. Bruce Lipton from The Biology of Belief says that each and every cell is itself thinking, because it responds to the environment, whether it's going to thicken up its membrane to guard against an invasion, or whether it's going to become permeable and let nutrients come in. The brain's not telling the cells to do that. They're responding to their environment. So there's so much exciting science to talk about the fact that we do respond to our environment, but this is going to such an amazing opportunity for us all to shift that environment. Instead of responding to the environment, to be responsible for the environment. And when you can put your hands on your heart and feel the energy of the space around your heart, and then go through training and exercises to really feel what it feels like to have your energy initiate here rather than here, then there is coherence. And when it's measurable, you can see that somebody who is in heart-head alignment, in this sense of coherency, that the wave is just a really nice flowing wave. And when somebody's in dissonance, out of coherence, they have this jagged pattern, and it's because the brain is trying to do what the brain has always done. The body is trying to relive what the body knows that's safe. And we're trying to just do things differently. We're trying really, in these kinds of exercises, we want to tap into the non-material. We want to tap into what could be our source, what could be our environment when we put our awareness there. So in step 2, I want you to ask yourself, am I in my head or am I in my heart? And if you can, bring yourself into coherency by, immediately just breathing more deeply and slowly, and visualizing yourself in that space where you're connected to all that is. That's a great exercise if our faith is in need of nurturing. So, what does faith have to do with a greater feeling of power then? Well, if you have quieted the noise so that you can tune into your sense of purpose more deeply, we all know what it feels like to be in the zone. Can you think of a time when you are doing something you love so much that you lose the sense of space and time? Well, when you're living into your purpose, you're tapped into that in the zone feeling, and that really is a catalyst for more energy. You have more energy to focus on moving forward with your sense of purpose. It also gives you the energy to fix what's wrong without obsessing about what's wrong. It gives you that direction for what is mine to do, especially when you don't want to answer that question yourself. But when you can get into that coherent feeling and offer that question up. What is mine to do? So, how can I give this some space, create some distance for perspective? How can I reduce the noise? How can I choose alignment and coherency? I thought I would talk specifically a little bit about a study that's in the pretty much the very last chapters of the book, Becoming Supernatural, again by Dr. Joe Dispenza. He did experiments years ago with 50 to 150 students that were wearing HRV monitors. And an HRV monitor measures heart coherence, and it also provides information about the brain and emotions. They were told to place their attention on their heart center, and they were breathing slowly and deeply, and then they cultivated and sustained an elevated state of emotion for 2 to 3 minutes. Now that's something that we can all do as well. It's what are we putting our attention on? And we have memories of things that brought us joy. We also can anticipate things that could bring us joy. So we want to tap into that place of elevated emotion. And maybe even learn to do that without a memory from the past or a projection about the future, but just tapping into that sense of love and joy. And anyway, they then put their attention on broadening their heart's electromagnetic field. And then in this elevated state, they moved from a state of selfishness to a state of selflessness. Now that doesn't mean that they were being selfish. It means that before this experience, they were in their body. And they were their body. And they were feeling the tangibleness and the denseness of what we're all living. And that is awareness of self. And they moved from that to selflessness, where they became no body, no one, in no space, and in no time. Now that sounds amazing, but I've been reading this book for a while, and I've been trying it, and I still haven't yet come to that experience of being no body, in no space, and no time. But I trust the activities that he portrays and all of the testimonials from the people who have been doing this. And so I know it's possible, and it makes me super excited. And so then after they moved from the state of selfishness to selflessness, then they wanted to put their collective focus on just a small section. So he took 500 to 1,500 students and had them all get into this place and put their attention on just the people who were wearing the HRV monitors. And so what they were trying to establish, the goal was to see if they could have a non-local experience of this elevated emotion. And sure enough, yes, they monitored these 50 people to 150 people for 24 whole hours, and their heart coherence and emotions and the information that they learned about their brain all were impacted. What was fascinating that they did not anticipate is that they were all impacted at the same time, and so they repeated this over and over and over. Now, I have firsthand experience of this. I have not gone to one of his workshops, which it's really on my bucket list, but I have been part of what my sister used to do. She did Harmonies of Healing workshops where she had these Australian crystal bowls. How many of you have heard the frequency and the vibration from a singing bowl? Yes, you can really feel that reverberate throughout your whole body. Well, one of the things that she experimented with was putting a volunteer in the center and having them say the one word they would like more of. So it would be wholeness or joy, whatever word they chose, and their name. And so people would surround this person. Some of them had singing bowls. They didn't have too many because they're really strong. But then every one of the participants would chant that word and their name. And people would come out of that experience often in tears, but some with miraculous experiences, healing that she had no idea would be the result of this work. And so to me, this is really tapping into this intention of well-being. So when these students were getting into that heart space and broadening their experience and tapping into the source like we were talking about, when they put their focus on the people that had the monitors on, they were holding the intention of well-being, of them experiencing something mystical, of them in their wholeness, in their fullness, in joy, and in love. And so it, to me, was just a fascinating revelation that not only did it impact them, but it impacted them all at the same time. So there is this invisible field upon which information is communicated, and it's through our autonomic nervous system that we are subconsciously able to tap into that frequency. But it does take our intention to put ourselves into this coherency with the intention of service for what you're wanting out of your own life, service for those who you love, service for those in the world, service of what the earth needs. And so the third step then is can I take daily action on this? Can I make this something that I do every day? So again, 3 ways to nurture your sense of faith. Can I give it some space? Can I look beyond what is and provide a different perspective? Can I get into coherence and ask myself, am I in my heart or am I in my head? And can I take daily action where I'm actually practicing the process of being in my heart space and holding that elevated state of emotion and opening my heart and becoming aware of the space around it and thinking of wholeness and joy and love. And to help you feel loved, I'm going to sing a song. Did you listen when you heard him say that he loved you, that he always would be there? Did you wonder if he'd go away if you acted out in a juvenile sort of way? And did you test him? Did you test him? Wondering if he's really there. Did you test him? Did you test him? Just to see if he'd still care. Well, have faith, you're loved, and everything's alright. Like a child, you're loved, and everything's alright. Do 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 do. He would hold you in that special way, make you feel so safe, make you know the world's alright. And he told you you could be anything. Keep your chin up and keep your vision in your sight. But did you trust him? Did you believe him? Wondering if it could be real. Did you test him? Did you believe him? And give yourself some wounds to heal. Well, have faith, 'cause you're loved, and everything's alright. Like a child, you're loved, and everything's alright. Do 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 do. Will you listen if you hear him say he still loves you and his love is all there is? Could you let him guide your every move, living through you and teaching you how to forgive? And could you trust him? Could you believe him and surrender to his way? Yeah, could you trust him? Could you believe him and let him guide you every day? To have faith, 'cause you're loved and everything's all right. Like a child, you're loved and everything's all right. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. God only knows how much he loves you.
That was great.
Thank you.